make it known to the players that are out there that now it's high time that people fight for their place to be in the national team, as opposed to getting free caps. You get a cap, everybody gets a cap, because that's how it used to be. We're trying to experiment a lot. That time is over. We just came back from a big tournament. Now we should be thinking World Cup.
It's about to go 9 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. Thank you so much for touching the gang. They give it a rest for the next 2 days as the weekend lineup here on Metro FM takes over and engulfs South Africa. Sundays, from the time you wake up in the morning, ikaslonke, the entire neighborhood, no more suburbs, it's Metro FM. So they'll be back again on Monday between 3 and 6. On a Friday here on Sports Amplified with Andile, it is a Podcast Friday. And I'm joined by 3 guys. We've got a guest visitor here today, a former professional who's played the game and speaks it so well. Can't wait to hear his views. But firstly, it's Podcast Friday. There's a lot to discuss. Tito, Maswanganyi has been a big impact this week. I think especially after the derby, that a lot of people are speaking about Tito. Hugo Bruce spoke about him as well. We'll go to that conversation and speak a little bit about Tito. Orlando Mokoena has had a lot to say about Mshishi. So we'll have a conversation about that as well. But also, who is Ime Okon? And why is it that South Africa needs to act quickly? Why is it that South Africa needs to act quickly on him? It's 10 after the hour 6. I'll introduce our guests, all 3 of them, when we come back. Let's take a very quick ad break. Remember, from 18:45, it's all up to you on 086 000 2160. WhatsApp on 060 552 7303. Champions League, the draw has been done. What do the guys in the studio think? I think there's 2 games there in particular that I want to look at. Is it the end of Arsenal's road? Because they take on Bayern München. So is it the end of their road? And the biggest game there has to be City versus Real. Oh, a lot coming up. Let them go, Mabaha. It's 12 after the hour 6. Let's look at the week in sport, particularly in football. But to do so, hey, I need my team. And on a Friday, it's a team of 3-4, including myself. Biso Snaps is with us. Biso, as per usual, welcome.
Thank you for the opportunity once again. It's good to be here, and good evening to the listeners of the number 1 sports show in South Africa.
Oh, Rodebo Mukwebo. Nadim?
Yeah, Andile. It's good to hear.
Nadim, you support Arsenal, don't you?
Yeah, no, always. Arsenal.
I'm sorry.
Why?
You got Bayern.
No, Bayern are out. Why are you sorry for Arsenal? I'm supposed to be sorry for Bayern because I think they are 10 points behind. Arsenal are number 1 in England. Why you be sorry for a team that is number 1 in England?
Don't give it all up now. We'll get into it.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, please help us welcome former Orlando Pirates goalkeeper, a man I consider a friend, one of the actually good guys when it comes to sport. You got to love him. He's a man that's doing big things outside of sport as well. He's growing his brand, growing companies out there. Brighton Mhlongo. Welcome, Brighton.
Thank you so much. With such an intro, I'm truly humbled, and it's always a pleasure being in the midst of greatness as well. Star-studded team as well, and for you, I always look up to you, and when I'm here, goosebumps every time.
Hey, Brighton, you've got guys that study the game here. Every single day, they're on their laptops, computers. They can tell you stats on every player there is. That's who these 2 guys are. But you come with a different angle.
Yeah,
You've played the game.
Yeah, man, it's always different. I always believe that sometimes, numbers, yes, much as they don't lie, but in all practicality, when you are within that space, you know the ins and outs because you get the first-hand experience of feeling it,
Yeah.
So that's why it becomes more cohesive for us as well to come in. Sfagama 2 cent words to say, no, wait a minute, I know what it means with Mabalshaya top corner when I'm out to keep Amara.
Doesn't matter. Right, let's go straight into it, guys. There's a lot to discuss. Let's perhaps start with the most spoken about player in South Africa right now. It's what he's been doing all along, but amplified with the derby. The derby means people that don't normally watch the game are watching the game. The derby means if you show up there, all of a sudden you're a BMT player.
Yeah.
And he did exactly that. Here's Hugo Bruce speaking on Maswanganyi, known as Tito.
So when he can achieve that level also with us, he can be someone for the future. He can be someone that can replace Themba for the future. I don't think about him. I don't think about to replace Themba now. But we have to think. Themba is 35 nearly, so we will be 36, 37 in 26. And you know, when you have that age, it can happen, and then we have to be ready.
Tito, Maswanganyi, a possible replacement for Themba Zwane in the national team. Themba, he's not as young as he used to be, but he's still a pivotal member of that team. Is Tito the guy that can replace him? Can we look to Maswanganyi for that replacement, Biso?
Yeah, I think if you look at what Tito has been able to do at Orlando Pirates this season, you know, when Orlando Pirates signed him beginning of the season, a lot of people were talking about a Masego that went to Mamelodi Sundowns. What Tito has been able to do in that number 10 role at Orlando Pirates, personally, this might be controversial, but probably the best number 10 they've had since Etiko Modise, for example. You see, in that time, for me personally, he was instrumental for their run to the MTNA title, beginning of the season. Even the beginning of the season when they were scoring so many goals at home and winning 5-0, 6-0. He was instrumental to that. He is still creating for the team even at this point. You look at the performance that he put in during the Soweto derby. A lot of people are talking about that performance in particular, but that's something that he's been doing over and over. We've seen it. I mean, I remember the game against Stellenbosch away, where he was amazing for them on the field. So in terms of being a long-term replacement, I've never really been a fan of pitting players in that, he's a long-term replacement of this player. I think he offers qualities that, are different from Themba Zwane, but also very effective on the field. So he's an exciting prospect for Bafana Bafana moving forward.
Brighton?
Yeah, I mean, look, I do share the same sentiment, because if you can look back when he first signed for Orlando Pirates, pre-season in Spain, everyone was asking, who's this guy? Because we're getting notification, more biggie game, Maswanganyi scored. Who's this Maswanganyi? Because at SuperSport was overshadowed by Tapelo Masego's performances as well. But credits to the Pirates scouting team as well, for making sure that, they bring the talent and at least identify where the team was lacking, as you've alluded as well, talking about, when was the last time Pirates had such a number 10. But what impressed me the most, derby. Guys, it's always a challenge. I remember, days where nowadays I feel like
it's okay, let's accept we've grown.
Yeah, but I remember would have these challenges where it would be like just to reminisce and remember those days and to see Tito coming out. And I had a conversation with him a couple of days back, and he was like, what inspired him was that he was watching the old derbies, and then he saw Opa walking on the pitch with the ball, everyone saying ace and all of that, and he was like, he wanted to create his own legacy. However, what worries me is a 25-year-old, and we're still talking about him being, long-term Ilentuza. Those things need to change in our country now. We have players like Abumfukeng at that young age. Throw them in. If they can swim, let them swim. If they drown, we move on to that.
So at 25 years old, he's supposed to be in his own position and not talking about replacing someone, is what you're saying?
He should be already commanding his place there. It's either we make it or we don't, because this thing of building as a national team, are we building to go play a space or somewhere? I mean, national team, if we're talking about millions of players that we have in the country, we're always looking for the best. And right now, if we say Tito is the best player, let him play. That's it.
Nadim?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with Brian. If he's that good.
Who's Brian?
I mean, sorry. Yeah, I'll have to agree actually with Mhlongo. If he was that good, he was supposed to go to the Okon. I think the coach is just reaction from the derby's performance, because he's been playing like this for Orlando Pirates for a while. Even in the first derby, if I'm not just mistaken, he was the man of the match. So I'm struggling to take the coach serious when he says he's going to replace Themba Zwane, because it's 25 years. Kylian Mbappe is 25 years. There are so many players at 25 years who are already well beaters. Tito, last year was a SuperSport United. We knew him. I expected him. He's actually one of the players I thought that Pirates going to do well this season. Yes, he has done well, but he has not even finished a season in the PSL already. You can speak highly of Zwane, who has been dominating for the past 10 years. It's difficult for me to say that, because I don't know. Because remember, these players are going through a lot. There's Instagram. There's so many things that are distracting them. There are so many things. A good example, actually, look at Saleng. Saleng last year was the player of the season. I mean, was good. The player of the season. All the PSL players said, this is our player of the season. He assisted Pirates to win 2 trophies. This season, he couldn't even go to the lineup. He's been struggling. Even in the derby, people were shocked. Is he starting that? Yes, he did score 2 goals and a brace, and of course, it was a man of the match performance. But it's so difficult to just judge someone because of one big game and think it's going to be. There are lots of players who have come done that. Even him is one of them who we thought is going to replace Senzo Meyiwa. He never establishes Bafana goalkeeper because he was highly rated in Mhlongo when he started. We know him very well when he was coming from Pirates. I mean, he was that good as a goalkeeper. But obviously, for so many injuries and other things, he couldn't crack it. So, and other also discipline problem. Again, also.
I cracked Bafana. What do you mean?
No. But again, like, so many things affected you to be actually a starter. You will be honest with yourself that you were never a starter in the national team.
Yeah.
But the promise that we were told. That's why Pirates immediately, when he passed away, they never even looked to buy a goalkeeper because they knew you will take over. But you didn't take over that much because that's why they ended up like trying to get point.
Okay, let's get back to Tito.
Players.
Let's go back to Tito. You're going to Brighton.
No, okay. Oh, Tito is promising. Is a promising talent. He has played well so far this season, but just like Saleng played so well last season, where he was even one.
So you're not convinced that he should be in the national team now? You think it's a reaction from just the derby?
But I think it should be. I think it should be in the He should have been in the national team. He should have been in the AFCON squad. He has been playing well.
Ahead of who?
Ahead of so many guys in there. Like Apollos. Do you think Apollos is better than Maswanganyi?
But I mean, look at the position that Apollos was
with Apollos
play.
is playing. With position Apollos.
I mean, you were thinking of Apollos, I think, more in the forwards, more than
he's that good. He's a forward, Maswanganyi. He's that good that he can even play a forward. That's how good players they are. I honestly think he should have been there. You can't. For me, yes, the coach is saying nice things because Pirates won 3-2. It could have been more the way they dominated.
All right.
But I'm not sure if he's really gonna replace Zwane. If he can keep his discipline, like so many players who have done so, like Zwane, I think he can.
Well, speaking of Zwane, Rolando Mokoena says that Mshishi is irreplaceable and he's a generational talent. We'll go to that because it almost sounds to me that from a national team point of view and from a Sundowns point of view, we're already wrapping up Mshishi's career. 23 after the hour 6 on the Mighty Metro FM. Welcome to it. It's Sports That Amplified with Andile. This is Podcast Friday, where we speak about Dikgang from the week and we take them apart. Now, there's one thing I know about footballers that I've had conversations with. I remember even with Tsepo Masilela is one example. Shaba as well, actually, where guys want to retire on their own accord. Guys want to say, okay, I'm hanging up my boots. And I think maybe for diehard fans who've watched the extremely talented Themba, Zwane, Mshishi, Shigabala, Makeke over the last couple of years, the fact that whether we like it or not, age is not on his side, and at some point we're going to have to say goodbye. But it feels like it's coming right now. Hugo Bruce speaking about it. Rolando Mokoena speaking about it. And we've got somebody here who was retired when he wasn't ready. We'll go into that, but first let's hear what Rolando has to say.
These type of players, it's very difficult. It will be another 10, 15 years until you find someone that will play and maybe surpass Mshishi's level. So I'm not even going to attempt to replace Mshishi because it's impossible.
Well, there it is. I mean, we can't. I mean, Rolando works with him every day.
Yeah.
He knows what he's feeling. He knows how he feels. He knows how he trains now versus. So he would know better. But are we slowly getting to a point where we should be looking at Mshishi and saying? I mean, I look at how Hlompo retired. I was like, it felt abrupt to me.
Yeah.
It felt like I wasn't ready for it. It seems Mshishi is cutting down already. Brighton.
Look, I believe that the honors lie with the player. And if you feel like you can still go on. We've heard, the Egyptian legend goalkeeper Al Hadri, who played beyond 45, even went to the World Cup as well. And when we talk about age, it was an issue as well with the coach Hugo Bruce at first with Themba Zwane, and then when you saw the quality. So we were talking off air now with Nadim Uti. I feel like here in South Africa we look at the external factors more than on the field, what you can offer. So for me, if his legs can carry him, if he can still produce, if he can still give his utmost best, then let him continue. But another issue, having said that, is that we do produce, but we take long to introduce here in the PSL. The problem, that's my biggest issue. And when we introduce with so many doubts. We don't have the belief to say, he can take on the world. Right now, how many people have the belief that Mofokeng can take on the world? How many people believe that Duba can be the main man at Pirates? We've seen the glimpses, but why don't we enhance that? You know, because my issue is that when we hold back and say, Andile, up until we get to 25, and then you have one good or two good seasons, now it seems like his legs are failing. You know, so for me, that's one of the biggest issues that I have. If we produce, let's introduce. And then while we do that, let's propel that, let's enhance that career, let's make sure that we offer them the tools to prosper. Let's not just say we're going to throw in the deep end, let's see if you can swim. If you can't swim, there's no support, you know, that says, okay, we've seen your shortcomings, this is how we're going to help you, you know. So these are the issues I've picked up.
Nadim?
Yeah, I feel like that Mshishi's strength has always been creating goals and scoring them. So now he's no longer scoring goals like before at Sundowns. If you can look at his statistics, he's already scored like less than 5 goals this season. So I feel that Roland is looking at his team, that he wants him to score goals in that position. He must create and also score goals because the other guys, Ribeiro and them, they're doing that. So he feels that at Mamelodi Sundowns, it could be his time is up because he's been saying from the beginning of the season that Mshishi's retirement. But if you look at what Mshishi has been doing, he's also been playing very well at Sundowns, even in the national team. I think it's up to him personally. If Sundowns don't longer want him, he can go to another team where he can play because he's still a superstar in the PSL. He can still play. Just because the national team coach is talking about that he must now retire or they are looking players to succeed, retire, but looking for players to succeed him. If he still feels he can still carry on, there are players who have played for great teams, but they will now downgrade a team, maybe play for a team that is maybe top half of the PSL, not like your championship winning team. Yes, his age is not on his side. If you look at the PSL, we immediately are like 34, 35. What a player, though. It's easy. We're now telling you to retire, irrespective of the performance. Like Klompo Kekana, I honestly thought he was still going to continue playing. Sure. He was still good enough to play even for other teams. There are players that you look at other teams, you see that Kekana was really way better than them, but I couldn't understand why there was no team. Maybe it was his choice that he wanted to retire. But it's one of those things where you feel Mshishi can still play in the PSL. If Sundowns feel is no longer keeping the goals and contributing enough for them like he was doing, because there was a time where he was averaging like 11 goals a season for like good 4 or 5 seasons, but now he's not been doing that for the past 2 seasons.
Maybe I mean, he's used differently now as well. Mshishi doesn't finish a game anymore.
Exactly. Again, why? Because even the national team doesn't finish a game. Maybe they look at his energy that it cannot contribute like before. Because before he used to finish a game. Even in the Bafana, if you look at almost all the matches, never even finish a single game. All the matches will be substituted. Maybe they feel that they need a player who can actually do that, carry the team until the end.
Nah, I just think it's a preconceived idea. That's it. For me, that's how I see it. Because if I know your abilities, I know what you can offer. Despite who's saying what about your age and everything, I still keep you there.
I'm going to stinge you this one. I'm going to stinge you it. We've gone on it a little bit too much. Now, a big question for many people when this came up, and they asked themselves, and I thought to myself, you must not be watching football, because he's 1.87 meters tall at only 20 years old. The central defender, who can also play right back, I'm hearing, is half South African, half Nigerian. He's got citizenship in both countries. And everybody's saying, sign him now. Let's keep him now so that for the future, we've got him before Nigeria grab him. Who is Ime Okon? Let's hear now from Andre Arendse.
Ime Okon is the next one on that radar. He's a super talent, and we need to look after him. And you spoke about that dual citizenship. We better be careful that we don't lose him, because he's one of the. And I know what I'm talking about because I've had the privilege of playing behind some of the best defenders in South Africa, and I don't even need to mention that. You guys know who I'm talking about, and I'm telling you now, in a few years' time, he's going to be up there or even better than those ones.
Better than Lucas Radebe, better than Mark Fish, better than Neil Tovey. Andre Arendse says this kid at 20 years old in a couple of years will be better than those names. That's what he says. That's what he says. Ime Okon, he's part South African, part Nigerian. Says put him into the national team now because Nigeria will take him. Biso?
If you look at the qualities of the player, like you said, he's a tall player. He can play right back. He's also good enough on the ball to start the build-ups for SuperSport. So, quality player. And I have no doubt that we're going to see him going to Europe at some point. And he is going to be that good of a player. My issue, though, with what Andre said, and I totally understand it. And as a goalkeeper, you'd expect that he knows how to identify a good defender because of how he supports the goalkeeper and all that. I think the only issue with that is my issue with it has always been when it comes to a national team, it's very important to have players that their biggest desire is to wear the national colors. So the interview that I saw that he did with Umazola, he was speaking about how his options are still open. He wants to play for South Africa, and he looks like he feels like he's closer to the South African national team than he is to the Nigerian national team.
So you want him to want to play for us? We shouldn't go get him and sign him up and put him in the national team just to keep him.
Definitely,
he must want to play for us.
Yes, because my issue with that is that when it comes to big tournaments where we're going to play, we had an issue right now with Forster that is still being spoken about, on whether or not he wanted to go to the AFCON tournament. A lot of players, if you have to beg them to play for your national team, when it comes to tournaments like AFCON, qualifiers, World Cups, they'll definitely be available. And like we're saying, he's a player that could go on to play in Europe, right? When he is in Europe, and we want him for the smaller games, his heart must still want to represent South Africa.
That's a good point.
I mean, to add on what you're saying, we had the greats, and when Coach Andre is talking about,
he's going to be better than Lucas and Mark.
I mean, let's not forget OJ. At that age, we produced one of the best defenders at a young age, and which is the right time. For me, the main important thing for national team, I think we need to start. I wanted to hear Coach Hugo Bruce talking about continuity. Because from a major tournament that you came from, you had Adams from Stellis, fairly young boy. You had Apollis. Now, where's the continuity? So when we're talking about your Okon, those are the players that now you should be thinking about to say, right now, this is where I'm going to build from. Because to be quite honest with you,
but to Hugo Bruce's defense, with most tournaments, you'd have come out of this tournament and you'd have had 2 years or so to build up to the next tournament, etc., etc. He doesn't have that. He's got 2 training games now that are fine. They're not for anything. And then he's got 2 qualifiers immediately after that, World Cup qualifiers. And then after that, there's AFCON all over again.
Yeah.
And then after that, there's the World Cup all over again.
Yeah.
So there isn't that time to say, hey, I'm going to use the next 2 years to build up to the next tournament.
Exactly. So hence I say, this building thing, I'm not happy with that, because we're not building a team to go play at Mars or whatever. We're going for a national team that needs a consistency and continuity. Therefore, you've already had a core of the team that went to AFCON that did well. Build on that if you want to build. If you're making addition, make it known to the players that are out there that now it's high time that people fight for their place to be in the national team, as opposed to getting free caps. You get a cap, everybody gets a cap, because that's how it used to be. We're trying to experiment a lot. That time is over. We just came back from a big tournament. Now we should be thinking World Cup. Now I built a team that had a solid foundation. When he started, we were all saying, what is he doing? Why is this player not there? This and that. Now he managed to come back with a bronze. Keep that core, make those additions, let players feel the need.
Do you feel
that
the
need to come in?
Hugo's getting South Africans and people perhaps force-feeding him some players?
I feel like now he's slowly, falling into the trap of now trying to appease everyone. Because when he first came in, he didn't care about opinions. At some point, he didn't even want to hear about Andile Charlie. Didn't want to. We almost forgot about that conversation, because now he stuck to his gun.
Themba Zwane.
Yeah, he stuck to his gun and said, listen, this is the team that I believe in. He built a solid foundation. All I'm saying is, when it's like this, now just identify those critical areas that you.
Let me ask you straight up.
Sure.
Ime, what are your thoughts on him at 20 years old and Andre saying, let's give him a cap now so we keep him as a South African?
The reasons behind giving him a cap, I don't fully agree with them. To say let's keep him because someone might snatch him.
Because in the future he might be a great player.
So we do.
It's not a footballing reason.
For me, I feel like if he deserves, it's high time that players get to a national team on merit.
There you go.
That's it.
Nadim?
I disagree with Brighton. He has to be given a cap. He's better than Sianda Kulu. That's why Kulu is on the bench at SuperSport. He's starting. He's a starter at SuperSport United. It's actually not even. It's actually building the team, because it's already starting at SuperSport ahead of Kulu, who Bruce preferred and was playing in the AFCON. We know the reason why he's not starting at SuperSport, because Okon is better than him. I feel central defenders are difficult to get top one. you remember all the teams that win championship. You need to have like, you can go to 2006 World Cup or Fabio Cannavaro, 2010. You can go to Puyol. You just need those kind of top defenders to win major tournament. It's so difficult to get them. That's why Ramos ended up playing over almost 120 caps, close to 170 caps for Spain. That is Johnny Adams for England, John Terry. It's difficult to get a top central defender. If he's that good, Mokoena played for 107 caps. We know that he was not the best. You can say maybe there were players where...
What are the numbers saying about Okon
107. Already has played 36 games this season.
Games
First
considered?
season. No, SuperSport, like they're one of the... I mean, he's not a goalkeeper, but I'm just saying...
Yeah, no, I mean, see, now when we compare him with the current back four that's there in the national team right now, because you're making a point with Ukulu, which is arguable.
No, I'm just saying it's been a starter at SuperSport.
Yes.
Ukulu is the one who was brought in for a lot of money, and then he's not even making the team because of Okon.
Was part of that foundation that you spoke about, which Hugo Bruce built.
No. Ukulu is no longer the future of the national team. He has shown, even in the first game against Mali, where he made mistakes, he needs to be dropped for Okon because we feel it's a talent. I've been watching him. Some of my guys, like Mhlongo, he once told me that this guy is very good, Okon. I've watched SuperSport a couple of times. He's good enough. He's 20 years. It's not like you've got luxury of central defenders lying around. All over the world, it's difficult to get a top quality central defender. You can think of any team. You remember that Okon next season, it might be at Sundowns. We will be promoted to join Sundowns, where you'll be playing with the core of national team players. So why not just start him now? Introduce him, just Masego. Masego is also one of the futures. He's coming from SuperSport United. I honestly think it's not a bad idea. If Andrew Arenza is a South African, a patriotic one who played for Bafana Bafana at the World Cup,
so give the boy a cap.
No, just call him properly. Don't give him a cap.
That's what we are saying. That's
of
what
course,
we are saying.
You have to go and beg him if you have to. Just like Pepe did to. Pepe is 41 years now. He's still playing for Porto. He's still a captain in the Champions League. He's still playing for Portugal. Brazil, they've been struggling all the years to get a player that can partner Thiago Silva as centre back. That's why they've not won a World Cup for so many years. It's so difficult to get a top centre back. Imagine if Thiago Silva and Pepe were partnering for Brazil. What they did Portugal, they saw Pepe, that is quality. They begged him. He was not born in he's from Portugal. They begged him to play for Portugal. He's been playing. He even won a European championship with Portugal. If you see a quality...
How old is Oluwatimakanya? He's in the States now, yeah? He's playing in the States. I think he's the other central defender who's 19 years.
You know Coach Hugo when it comes to States.
Yeah, but so he doesn't consider even...
So
because I would want to know, is Oluwatu ahead or behind?
He's 19 years old.
He's 19.
Yeah.
He's 19, and he's a top player. Central defender playing in the States.
He's playing in America. The coach, but the current Bafana Bafana coach doesn't see it as a competitive league. He has said that. So we cannot force him. We tried with Ngobu. He just looked at us and selected his team.
It's 18:39 on the Mighty Metro FM. Should we take a break now? Then come back with let's take a break and then come back with one more story, the Champions League, and then the game of the weekend. Guys, I know you haven't prepared for this one, but I've decided just to bring it on anyway. Maswanganyi, for a long time, we're wondering, is he going to leave Sundowns? There was an issue of contract has not been signed. He hadn't looked at it, but since then, Mike Makabe has come out and said they are in talks to re-sign the contract. He says that they are engaging Sundowns to re-sign a long-term contract for him to stay at Sundowns in his assistant capacity, and that he's feeling positive that will happen. Maswanganyi staying at Sundowns. Nadim, many feel it's a waste of a talent to have a coach like that on the bench. He should go and help out or, spread his wings as a coach somewhere else.
Yeah, I'm the one who thought so also. Up until you gave me another view at the end of the show that in other teams, he cannot have the time of duration that he can get at Sundowns. I feel it just must stay there. He's getting paid a lot of money. It's like getting bonuses every time Sundowns are winning a trophy. He doesn't even know some of the money that's coming in his account. When he wakes up, now there's a bonus for what you call AFL Championship, Champions League, PSA. There at Sundowns, I mean, there's no pressure. Immediately Sundowns the directors, they're looking at Roland as the head coach. It's so nice to be an assistant coach, Andile. The fans are not going to insult you when the team can go to a bad run.
It's safe.
It's very safe.
But guy that you career? What about your ambitions?
The ambition, the guy, he did. I mean, you remember he coached Chippa United, where Chippa Mbenga fired him after one game. He was at Arrows again.
Won a trophy. We're never going to forget what happened against Ajax.
He did so well, but from there, there was a time where he was out of job when Biso called him to join Sundowns. So I think Sundowns is okay.
Okay, let's move on from Maswanganyi and go to Steve Kompela. I spoke to him on the show here during the week, and my concern was in and around the assistance that he gets. Everywhere he's gone, he's been given an assistant. And we're speaking about a time when top coaches, and I regard Steve as a top coach, when top coaches...
Why do you do that?
So top coaches arrive at jobs, and we know from the conversations we've had at Safa, we know from the conversations we've had at Kaizer Chiefs, we know from conversations with Peter Musimane, and we've seen it as a trend overseas as well.
Yeah.
Coaches arrive with their teams. They want to pick their own team. They want to pick their own assistant. They want to pick their own physios, etc., etc. Steve moves, goes to Swallows. He's given Musa Nyatam. Now he's gone to Arrows. He's given Maputi Kenyes. What do you make of a coach that arrives alone and has to get the team? But firstly, let's hear from him.
Not all clubs have the capacity to know the users as an entourage who come with a coach. Here and there you could find one or two. Even at national level, when we employ a national coach, you'd find that there's a need for a local assistant so that there's identity that is within the federation and people can identify with the team.
So maybe it's not a Steve thing as much as it is our football thing and where we are.
Yeah. I mean, to add on also from the previous conversation is that it's all about security now with South African coaches, because they've seen with how these merry-go-rounds, being fired, not being given, the opportunity to express yourself, to build, to believe in the project. Many coaches now feel aggrieved in a sense that the owners don't trust them enough, and now that's when you bring in the preference for overseas-based coaches. When they come in, they're allowed to come in with their supporting staff, yet with our local base, they're not given that leverage, to pick and choose. So that becomes difficult, because now it's no longer about, believing in the project. For them, it's all about results. But how do you get them? Because already when you get there, you're already being told that, no, Tito. And now it's already first and foremost the understanding, the cohesion between the two coaches.
So who says that? The owners of the team?
The owners of the team.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So they actually choose the team, some of them.
I think Brighton mentioned one word that's very important. They mentioned trust. A lot of team owners don't trust a lot of local coaches or even coaches in the PSL enough to let them come with their own entourage. And the only coach that you could think of that would come with his entourage is a Biso Musimane, for example. That's because of what he has achieved as a coach, the number of titles that he has won. If you're saying that Steve Kompela, for example, is coming with his entourage, do we know who's in his entourage? Are those people that are trusted? Are those people that have achieved something also in their own right? So I think a lot of team owners, if you were to say, I want to come with my own entourage, they would say, okay, what have they achieved in order for me to take out that money and pay them? Because they will come with their own salaries that they want. Yeah. So I think that's the important factor here, the achievement.
Because to add on that, we have Brendan Truter, who always has a chance. Every time we've seen Brendan from the lower ranks, he has always traveled with these two assistant coaches and a goalkeeper coach, and all the teams have allowed him to do that. And to be quite fair, wherever he went with his supporting staff, he did turn things around. It was just unfortunate.
So then there's something in the team thing.
Exactly.
We're saying there's positivity in saying let the team come.
Yes.
Guys, I don't have the time to discuss it any further. Let's move on. Champions League draw has been drawn. Let me just pull it up here because I don't want to get it wrong. Let me just pull it up here so that it's in front of me. We've seen it, and guys are saying, Andile, stop, man. Now we're mega Arsenal. Don't say they're going to Arsenal. But Nadim, you've seen the draw. I'm just trying to bring it up here really quick.
Yeah, I saw Arsenal is playing Bayern Munich, then Real Madrid is playing
Man City,
Paris Saint-Germain was playing
Barcelona, and then Atletico will be taking on the German machine, the yellow machine.
Yeah. If you look at it, Andile, it's one of those things where you feel like that form usually doesn't matter. The team that is scare everyone the most in the Champions League. That's why it has won 14 times. It has won more times. Even in the last 10 years, it has won it more than 6 times, which is Real Madrid. It's a very, very strong team. Okay, 5 times actually, to be specific. It's a very, very strong team. It's unpredictable in the Champions League. If you look at how they've won more Champions League than La Liga in the last 10 years, that tells you that they know how to win this Champions League. It's not based on form at all. If you look at Man City, I just fear for them that they might be way out. They might be out, because if you look how Liverpool played Man City, you see De Bruyne and Guardiola, people might say there's a tension there. Of course there is. That's why he actually did that kind of things. their goalkeeper is injured. Ed has seen in the Champions League, you need your full strength squad. That's where Madrid come in. Courtois is coming back from injury. Militao is coming back. Arsenal, they've not been in the Champions League for almost 11 years in the quarterfinals. They're just happy to be there. You don't expect them to beat. You don't expect them to beat Bayern, of course. You don't. Bayern are well old. If you look at Arteta, it's the first time ever. This is the guy who have won Champions League with Chelsea, Thomas Tuchel. Well, so he's been in the Champions League for the past 5 years, consequently even reaching the final with PSG. Arteta's just the first time being there. You will think Arsenal have done well just be there. I don't think they will go. So
all right, I'm gonna stop you then, Nadim. Brighton.
No man, I'm just gonna keep it short.
Yeah.
Final Champions League, Atletico Madrid, Man City.
What?
Yes.
Man City are booting Real out.
Atletico Madrid, Man City. That's
Wow.
my final.
Crazy.
Final of the Champions League.
Yes.
I think there's so many interesting storylines. You look
Are
at
you,
Atletico.
when you're
and-
shooting, I hear that you're shooting something. Are you tired? What time did you wake up?
Can you switch his mic off? Biso, what are you saying?
You look at an Atletico and a Dortmund. Dortmund has the best defensive record in this Champions League so far. They've only conceded 5 goals. Atletico is traditionally known for being a very good defensive team, but now they've changed it up a bit. They score a lot of goals now. You look at a PSG and a Barca. Luis Enrique returning to Barcelona. He won the treble with them. You know, Kylian Mbappe might be going to Real Madrid. He goes to Barcelona now. With PSG. Dembele is going back to his home. The Real Madrid Man City one. So many storylines there, so much history, and those are the 2 favorites for a lot of people. So a lot of people would think that whoever wins that one,
That's the final
goes
before
on
the final.
to win the final. So there's so many interesting matchups in this. Arsenal and PSG also. We think of the 10-2 aggregate that Arsenal and Bayern Munich. I mean the 10-2 aggregate that they gave Arsenal back then. But now Arsenal is a lot stronger. Bayern has weakened a bit. So there's so many interesting storylines.
How are you
throughout.
a lot stronger losing to Porto? Come on, guys. Why are you hyping these guys up?
Who?
There's nothing. Arsenal went on to lose.
No,
to
they've
Porto.
played a lot better
No,
this
No,
season.
actually, you are wrong.
Guys,
they
Bayern
are
are not,
much better
Bayern
this
are not
season.
weakened. They're just, this team is unbeaten in German, Bayer Leverkusen. Bayern, on another day, there's no team that has ever been consistent like Bayer Leverkusen.
Bayern is not playing at the same level anymore.
No, it is.
Upamecano has been.
they're
I
in
don't know
the
the time for it. I don't
No,
know
they're in the
the
no,
Let's take a
no.
quick break. Let's take a quick break.
Evening, gents.
Hey,
Nadim, please tell Andile Arsenal is going to beat Bayern Munich.
he just said it won't.
Arsenal
He supports Bayern Arsenal.
Probably going to be in
No,
the
don't
finals.
want.
Mark my words.
You
I
know,
actually was hoping we get Bayern, Barcelona, PSG, or Dortmund, and we got Bayern. So I'm very happy. We're going to beat Bayern. Probably home and away.
Listen,
Or we might get a draw away.
I'm
But
not
because
one.
they're coming to our house first, we're going to beat them.
I'm not one to shy away from saying I'm wrong when I'm wrong. I don't think so, but when I am, trust me, I will come in here with an Arsenal shirt that I will buy with my own money and apologize.
Andile mamela for abawo unengxaki neArsenal wena kanjani no
Nyanyani.
it's Man U
Straight.
fane nani Bayern Munich is not going to beat us. I bet you first leg playing in Emirates Stadium we're going to beat them. We're going to beat them nako kwabo we're going to still beat them. Don't worry siya ku semi-final ba siya khona
It's the hope that
I
kills
bet
you.
you semi-final.
You know the problem, Arsenal can win at
George,
Emirates,
in
then
East
they
London,
get 5.
uzimkhumbule. I bet you ndiyakxelela.
It's the hope, Mchanam. It's the hope that kills you.
Hey, Andile.
Hey.
You know, Themba Zwane can play until, he's 39, 40, like Luka Modric. I mean, he doesn't use a lot of pace when playing, He uses his brains. So he can play up until he's 40 if he wants. He's looking after himself.
Oh,
So
he's such a
I think
professional.
speaking about him retiring, he's premature. Let's just enjoy the guy.
Andile awuyabona uTito Maswanganyi yena player is a very good player Andile, and to compare yena noZwane thatha ama chance manje bazamile ngosaleni kwenzekela ngayo wawa the whole season khona vuka manje
Saleng in Instagram
after the 2 goals I scored but uTito uyadlala yena, and I think kungaba i-play of the season. Angazama ukulwela but angimboni efika kumkwena, ngimboni efika kuRibeiro, ngimboni efika nakuMarcelo Allende. Thank you, Andile.
Thank you.
And they don't want to know what happened to Saleng's bomb this season.
No, I don't.
Oh,
086 0002160. WhatsApp on 060552730. Let's take your calls very quickly. I want to start with Lisibe. Lisibe is out and doing. Who's it? Oh no, I'm lying. It's Mzigaise. Hi, man, Timmy. You are confusing me. Lisibe.
Hey, Mzilika.
Hey, man, go for it. The guys are here.
Yeah, good evening to Majita in the studio as well. Mzilika, I hear that you are canvassing since well, it's the election season.
No. What am I canvassing for me?
14 good authority that you are canvassing for your brother. That's a discussion for another day. Tell you what, I've just got a moving train. The young from Supersport, before he will be promoted to my neighbors here in Zorko, I don't think we should be forced to give him a cap just to disturb us like France is doing with our African brothers. You know? We would differ as a continent had they not been swayed to play for France. And then Champions League, Bayern, they are not on their level. It's goodbye for Bayern, mark my words.
All right, let's see. I hope so. Thank you so much. Let's go to Mzigaise. Mzigaise wants to speak about UEFA. Mzigaise.
Andile maa.
Go for it, my man. Go for it.
Maa, lalela maa. Arsenal. Sizatha i-Arsenal number 2. Bayern Munich number 1. Bayern Munich, yes, it was a good team. Marga we that those years good. Bayern Munich so the Betisa Bayern Munich. Mar this year Arsenal
Thank you, Mzigaise. Ngicela ungifonele makuphela i-Champions League, ne?
Yeah, ingayishaya, but we don't know if it's going.
Ungifonele makuphela i-Champions League. Ufonele mina makuphela i-Champions League sokhuluma vie. Yeah. Ciao. Let's go to Bonkosi. Out in Dobson who wants to speak about Tito. Bonkosi. I'm good, man. With Tito.
Tito iyadlala mara not for Themba Zwane.
So ngeke ureplace uThemba Zwane ngoTito?
Hayi makancane Andile makancane.
Hey man, why?
uThemba Zwane makancane leyathi leyazi ibhola unabantu abazifuna lento isegazini le. That's why it first quality athi ayibaleki isebenza njalo into ingqondo.
Wow, thank you so much. That's yazi umuntu mambuza ngomuntu athi Andile. Before you go, Brighton, because you've been such a great guest, I've been asked to ask you about the 6-1 demolition of Mbombela.
Shoo. Sicala ma. Yeah?
Yeah, what can you tell us about the 6-1 demolition of Mbombela?
Look, it happens. All big teams, they go through that.
Try to be honest.
In terms of what?
But it's something you don't forget.
It was a pet. It will always haunt you. You know, in a sense, you can't believe, you know, especially as a goalkeeper as well, playing for a big team like that and losing a game in that
margin,
manner, it'll always haunt you. But I think in life you learn to embrace such moments the same way that you cherish, you know, triumphant moments as well, you know. So for me, I was happy that the boys went back to Mbombela and somehow against Silver Lake, but you know, that was good for us to get the six
We appreciate you. You're amazing today. Can't wait to have you back again. Thank you so much. Come on, guys. Let's give him a big round of applause. Brighton, Mhlongo! We're going to get out of here. Thank you so much to the guys. It's Podcast Fridays, and you've made it the biggest show on a Friday. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much to our guest, Mhlongo Brighton, as well. Watch him on the TV. He's doing big things, this man. Him and Opa also taking over in all sorts of other spaces. There is a live game, Milford versus Stellenbosch, in the Nedbank Cup. That game is live right now, so do check it out. For myself and my entire team, Biso, I appreciate you. Nadim, Pella, and so me.